Anthony is a financial advisor who specializes in working with entrepreneurs, executives, and families. Anthony has spent 10 years with Goldman Sachs Private Wealth Management, and he received his BS in Finance from Westminster College, and later served 3 years on the Westminster Alumni Board. Anthony grew up in Salt Lake City and lived in New York City for the past 7 years. He recently relocated to Denver with his fiancée and 2 dogs. Please help me welcome to the stage, Anthony Englert.
Thanks, Sharon. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. It's a lot to live up to. So, capitalism is what America is built on, and entrepreneurship is the cornerstone of America's success. Used to idolize entrepreneurship as a celebrated American value. These entrepreneurs only needed courage, a basic education, and a hard work ethic in order to succeed. But we don't teach entrepreneurship in schools. And the messaging these days is go get a good degree, get a good job, work hard, and just enjoy a nice life. But that doesn't seem to be working for many Americans. 1 in 5 of us feels that the American dream is unattainable. It's even more bleak amongst young Americans. Half don't feel like they can achieve the American dream. Income inequality is growing to such a point that people feel like they can't work hard and have a real shot at making real money. And so the desire to try harder just goes away. Does that mean capitalism is broken? I don't think so, but I think it does need to evolve. The other skill that we don't teach in school, when we don't talk about as a culture, is money. Financial literacy, isn't about budgets or spreadsheets. It's about understanding how to use the money system to your benefit. If you can't know the rules or know how to play the game, how are you going to win? And that's why 44% of Americans can't afford a $400 emergency expense. 38% are behind on their credit card debt, 43% are behind on their student loans, and over half have saved nothing for retirement. My parents started their own business in 1987, so I grew up experiencing entrepreneurship firsthand. Now, they never missed a sporting event of mine or my brother's, and there were a lot, but they worked long hours and felt the pressure of the buck stopping with them. So, growing up, I witnessed them trying very, very hard. But 30 years later, they're still running that same business today, together, still married, and last year my mother received her industry's version of the Lifetime Achievement Award. So, my parents built this business on extreme work ethic and talent, but they didn't have the financial skill set, or hadn't yet learned that financial skill set, to really make it work for them. And so as a teenager, I watched them working too hard for too little money, and I decided that being an entrepreneur just wasn't worth it. So I knew I wanted to make a lot of money. I came to Westminster, and I figured that meant I'd be a doctor or a lawyer. I started as an econ pre-law major, and quickly realized the law was not for me. Then I thought 7 years of medical school didn't sound like much fun either, and now I'm engaged to a doctor. She tells me I made the right decision. So I thought, there has to be a formula or a blueprint for financial success. I just have to find it. And I read over 100 books my freshman year in search of that. These are 4 of my favorites because they teach lessons about money and life through stories. The E-myth, in particular, the entrepreneurial myth, is that working in your business and working on your business are not the same thing. Most entrepreneurs don't realize this, and it leads to their failure. So I didn't find my treasure map or my silver bullet, but I started to believe that if I could understand money systematically, like an electrician understands power and wiring, then I could learn to control money and I could harness it for my benefit. It was 2007, and I wanted to start something. I was so eager. And I thought, I should start a real estate investment company. Thank you. There's a much longer story, of course, but the punchline is it didn't work out. I lost my life savings of $20,000. It was a great semester in the School of Hard Knocks. So I thought the best place to continue my education in money and business would be Wall Street. I applied for an internship with Goldman Sachs, and a position with their private wealth management group started me on a 10-year journey that I could not have imagined. I started in private wealth, and I learned how to run a business, how to manage people and projects. Then I was promoted. I moved to New York. I took a position with the trading desk, and I got promoted to vice president. I had achieved all of my 5-year goals. It took 6 years, but I'd achieved them all. And I was miserable. And the reason I was miserable was because I'd forgotten what my purpose was in being there originally, which was to learn. So I had the opportunity to go to Africa and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And doing a little soul searching on the hike along the way, I realized I wanted 3 things: to be an entrepreneur, to solve financial problems, and to help people that I could build deep relationships with. Those 3 things led me to become a financial advisor. I joined the largest private wealth team at Goldman Sachs. We were 15 advisors managing $22 billion. I had the pleasure of working with entrepreneurs, executives, their charitable foundations, and many Goldman Sachs partners. The partners had built successful careers advising corporations and governments how to manage their finances. So I was shocked when some of the partners told me, or self-described their finances as a train wreck. One said it was a shit show. So I was taken aback, and as I looked at their finances, they were overspending, they were struggling to save, to pay off debt, they were fearful of not investing enough and investing poorly. They were just like the rest of us, except with more zeros. As our incomes grow, we tend to increase our standard of living, me included. We upgrade our apartments, our clothes, our electronics, travel, even alcohol. Who drinks only craft beer now instead of PBR? So the danger, though, is when we spend more than we should. You should absolutely enjoy the results of your hard work, but the slippery slope comes from spending more than you make on credit. And the longer that cycle goes on, the more addicted and enslaved to debt you can become. One of my favorite clients needed a $50,000 loan in order to pay for their kids' private school tuition for 60 days. Talk about living paycheck to paycheck. As the partners struggled, and I witnessed this and I observed this, the light bulb went off in my head. I realized that money alone wasn't the answer. It wasn't the solution. We tend to think that that's going to solve the problems, but earning another degree or getting a raise or cutting out that latte, it just makes you a better player in a losing game. To win, we have to change the game entirely. Did you know that there's 2 sets of money rules in our country? There's one for employees and another for business owners. And the amazing thing is you get to choose which set of rules and which game you want to play. Everyone can and should be an entrepreneur. My definition of an entrepreneur is serving your community while making money. Now, Silicon Valley hoodie-wearing college dropouts, they get all the attention, right? But that's not an entrepreneur. Most businesses are started by well-educated people in their homes for less than $5,000. The formula for this is to serve one person with one idea or one solution. Every one of us has a passion, a knowledge, a talent that we know more about than anyone. I know more about money and finance than 99% of people. What do you know more about than anybody else? How might you share that knowledge and that passion to solve somebody else's problem? It doesn't have to be rocket science. It could be beer reviews. It could be personal training. It could be fashion tips. It could be crafting hacks. It could even be financial advice. The important thing is that you share that special person that you already are with the world. Have that courage to do that. If you were to serve 348 people and you charged $197 for your solution, then you will make more money than Utah's median household income of $68,400. How meaningful would that be to double your income, essentially, in addition to your day job, just by helping one person each day? But it's bigger than just you and the people you're helping, and it's more than just sharing your talent. You also have to learn the basic concepts of money and business so that they can work for you instead of against you. And as you do that and your knowledge grows, your income will follow. And that's more income that you can then use to put back into your community and to explore new horizons. Your success will drive our country's success. You see, when you double your income, Uncle Sam actually triples his. And that's more money, more tax revenue that we can use to pay for government services, that we can pay down deficits, or that we can invest in the common good. And that's at a time when we're falling behind on our Social Security commitments, we have a ballooning national debt, and we're underinvesting in the types of research that drive innovation and that create more entrepreneurs. Capitalism can still work, but it requires economic mobility. That is a real chance for financial independence. That's where being an entrepreneur comes in. We need more good people who can make that financial change in the world. We need every one of you to be gears of change, not just cogs in the wheel. And as we do that, we can rebuild America. All of you have the power to change and restore the American dream. We can repair our own finances and our country's and restore the integrity of our political process. All you must do is become an entrepreneur to save us, to save yourself, and to save the U.S. Thank you.